Have you ever felt this strange sensation that the deepest truth of the universe is literally just one last formula beyond the boundary of our understanding? We build detectors, plunge telescopes into the infinity, split atoms, trying to reach that ideal, shining pearl. This eternal pursuit of the solution is not just a scientific quest, it is a fundamental human drama that has lasted for millennia. Does this road have a finish line, or are we doomed to stand forever on the threshold? Today, we will unveil a Rubaiyat that sounds like a revelation from quantum physics, written 8 centuries before its appearance. Omar Khayyam, poet, astronomer, philosopher, asked the most important question about the boundaries of knowledge in just 4 lines. Listen as he cuts through the air of millennia, directing our gaze into this endless darkness. The ocean of being came from the dark of ages. No one has pierced the pearl of its mysteries. We talk about our own affairs, but before what is, we cannot find words.
Khayyam is not simply a lyricist singer of wine and the joy of life, as he is often oversimplified. His philosophy concerning the limits of knowledge was born directly from his work as a scientist, mathematics, and astronomer. He was a man who knew how the heavens worked, developing a calendar more accurate than many modern ones. His intellect demanded logic and precision, yet he faced the insurmountable limits of his tools and knowledge every day. It was at this border, where mathematics ends and infinity begins, that his most poignant poetry was born. Imagine him standing before his astrolabe, calculating the trajectories of planets with extraordinary accuracy, and yet realizing, even his ingenious calculations cannot explain why the universe began. This conflict between the analytical mind of the scientist and the sensitive soul of the poet, this is his unique legacy. He did not just muse on the darkness of ages, he tried to pierce it with his computations, hence such a powerful metaphor. Therefore, when he writes about the pearl of mysteries which no one has pierced, he is not talking about religious dogma, but about the limit of cognition, a scientific event horizon. This feeling of the intellect's defeat before eternity is what makes him relevant today, in the era of the Large Hadron Collider. Darkness of Ages in the Rubaiyat is not about a historical period, but about a metaphysical space that lies beyond the reach of our empirical experience. Recall how modern physicists search for a theory of everything, confronting the idea of the multiverse or the uncertainty of quantum mechanics. They see that the laws work, but they cannot explain why precisely these laws were chosen. Khayyam, like a Persian Gladwell, reduces the most complex problems of the universe to a simple but insurmountable limit. We can describe what we see, but we cannot understand the beginning itself, the design itself. Thus, we are talking about Khayyam as the first critic of pure reason in poetry, who acknowledged the limitations of our scientific toolkit 1,000 years before Kant. He was wise enough to recognize that even the perfect vision of an astronomer is powerless in this impenetrable darkness of ages. This gives us the right to perceive him not as an Eastern sage with tales, but as a pragmatic intellectual who reached the edge of the map and honestly wrote, "Beyond this point is the unknown." His conclusion, we are doomed to talk about our own affairs, because about the true nature of things, we have no words. And this is a brilliant, albeit bitter, realization. For those who appreciate quality literature, the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam is the essential classic for your shelf. This collection is perfect both for your personal library and as a valuable gift. Don't miss the opportunity. Order your edition now. The direct purchase link is located below the video. In the modern world, where we believe in the complete solving of the universe, these words of Khayyam sound like a cold bucket of water. We think that the matter is only in the power of our supercomputers or new generation telescopes, and the pearl is simply waiting to be extracted. But what if this ocean of being is fundamentally immune to our method of piercing? For instance, the distinguished physicist David Deutsch speculates that there are physical laws which our minds, in principle, will not be able to grasp, regardless of our technological progress. This raises a question that lies at the intersection of science and fate, or, as Khayyam put it, destiny or predetermination. Is our fate as a species eternal wandering in this dead end of cognition? Recall the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. The more accurately we know one thing, for example, a particle's position, the less we know another, its momentum. This is not a technological problem. It is an inherent, unshakable law of nature itself that prevents us from seeing the pearl completely.
Thus, the impregnability of the pearl of mysteries may not just be a temporary lack of data, but a part of our cosmic design. Perhaps the universe does not wish to be solved like an overly easy puzzle and has established intellectual limitations for us. This is not fatalism, but an acknowledgement of wisdom that lies beyond our ability to manipulate reality. Khayyam did not ask us to stop searching, but proposed accepting that the ultimate truth might be transcendent, meaning inaccessible to purely earthly tools. In fact, each of us experiences this limit every day, albeit on a smaller scale. Have you ever tried to completely understand the motives behind the actions of your best friend, a loved one, or even your child? You may have all the data, know the history, but the final element, their internal, unique truth, always remains slightly out of reach. If we cannot pierce the mystery of a single person, then what can we say about the ocean of being that came from the darkness of ages? All that remains for us are our own affairs, our small, controllable world.
Let's look at the metaphor of the ocean of being and the pearl of mysteries more closely, as this is pure Coelho in a Persian rendition. The ocean is boundlessness, chaos, the source of everything that is and has been. It is not a single object that can be encompassed, but an eternally changing, infinite element that came from the dark of ages, lacking a clear beginning. This element is what gives birth to the pearl, the most valuable and most protected thing, the absolute truth, the core of everything. Our task as humanity is to pierce this pearl, meaning to drill a path to its center to see the light of truth. However, Khayyam states no one has pierced, which turns this not into a call to action, but into a sad yet definitive observation. It is an eternal impasse that forces us to lower our hands, not from hopelessness, but from the understanding of our own insignificance before the scale of eternity. Here we see a unique balance between the optimism of the search, Gladwell, and the acceptance of boundaries, Coelho. And this is where the most crucial intellectual release occurs. We talk about our own affairs, but before what is, we cannot find the words. This is not simply about us babbling about trivialities while the universe remains silent. It is about the limitation of language and concepts, our main tools for cognition. How can one describe color to someone who has never seen light, or explain four-dimensional space to those living in three dimensions? Our own affairs are our mathematics, our physics, our philosophy, which only work within the limits of our system. It is beautiful, it is precise, but it, like the finest bow, still cannot pierce the armor of the darkness of ages. When we approach the edge, our language becomes helpless, turning into nonsense for describing what truly is. This is the perfect explanation for why, when attempting to describe the beginning of the universe, scientists often resort to poetic rather than purely scientific imagery. The main idea of the Rubaiyat is that the dead end is not a design flaw, but its very essence. The unsolved nature of the universe is what gives it its mystical power and constant attraction for humanity. If the pearl were easy, if the secret were revealed, what would be left for us? We would simply disappear into a perfect but boring equation. Khayyam suggests we change our focus from trying to pierce the mystery to trying to accept its presence.
This is an inspiring challenge. If we cannot change the limits of cognition, we can change our attitude toward them. Instead of banging our heads against the wall, we should enjoy the view that opens up from this wall onto the boundless ocean. The recognition that we will not find the words allows us to enjoy the words that we do have.
The real tragedy is not that we do not know, but that we refuse to live fully while we are searching. Many people postpone their happiness or important decisions, waiting until everything becomes clear or when the perfect plan appears. Khayyam says, "There will be no perfect plan. The truth will not be served on a platter. So stop waiting and start acting within the limits of your own affairs." This philosophy is also relevant to our frantic world, which is filled with informational noise and a constant striving for control. We live in the age of big data, but often feel more confused than ever before, because data does not replace understanding. We try to calculate our every step, every risk, but life proves again and again the most important events, from a meeting to an illness, come from the dark of ages, unpredictably. How does this help you personally? It is the release of energy that you spend fighting what is impossible to understand. If you spend excessive energy analyzing someone's unfair action or the cause of a failure that cannot be explained, you are banging against the pearl. Khayyam offers this moment of acceptance. It exists, it is incomprehensible, it came from the dark of ages. So move on, focusing on what is within your power.
This is not a call to passivity, but a call to active unknowing, as paradoxical as that may sound. You accept that some aspects of your own existence are a mystery, and that is normal. Think of a successful entrepreneur who, after years of searching for the perfect niche, simply started doing what they loved, and success came naturally. They stopped trying to pierce the mystery of the market and started dealing with their own affairs with genuine passion.